noticeably thinner on this show, raise your hand.
What? I guess I got to do it closer to the camera.
Yes, Mike, raise your hand. It's raise your hand 101.
Yeah, and it's not me
All right,
because I shaved my beard. There's a goatee.
No,
No.
although it still looks good though. I
Yeah.
like it. It's got a little bush to it.
Yeah, yeah. It's good. You have to get the sideburns though.
Yes, yes. The side. Oh, the sideburn. Now you look. Now you really look like Victor French from Little House on the Prairie.
Nice.
So that's a definite Victor French look. But yeah, you know what, Mikey? I decided to take the plunge. I became a true bandit today, and I crossed the state line to live free or die.
Yeah.
To get a haircut.
Yes.
Because I felt like I needed a lawnmower to cut through
Yes.
my bush.
Yes. Yeah. It was like hedgerows of Normandy. It was very thick.
Yeah, it was this poor woman who was cutting my hair was like, my God, how long has it been? I said, oh, almost 3 months.
Yeah. Now, did you do like a shot of Clorox before you went in there? Like, how did that work?
Well, here's what they do. Now, for those of you anticipating the same thing that I did today, all 6 of you who are watching, I was a little apprehensive about that. But what they do is they take your temperature right as you walk in the salon.
Oh, good.
And then they say, obviously I have my mask on. They make you sanitize your hands,
Sure.
and then you're good to go. She has a mask on, you're good to go.
Good.
So there's not much involved. I mean, nor should there be, but
Right.
Good for New Hampshire. And as people in Massachusetts are now calling Charlie Baker Governor Cautious,
Yeah.
take a look at what New Hampshire's doing, and phase it back in. If you want to do it gradually, do it gradually.
Yeah.
But people need to earn a living.
Right. Yeah. And we are in phase 1 here in North Carolina, so I think another 7, maybe 10 days, we'll go to phase 2, which will start to opening things up. Now you can at least get, you can gather in groups of 10 or less. We've maintained the golfing, although I have not played in about 3 weeks. I've not taken advantage
Poor
of that.
guy.
I know.
Poor guy.
Although I'm tired for the golf course today. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow we're taking a well-deserved day off again.
Yeah, yeah. Life without sports and life without shows.
Yeah. So
A well-deserved day off.
Well deserved. I mean, when you go 2 straight days after 2 straight days off, right? I mean,
you can't ask. You can only ask for so much during
right.
a pandemic.
Now, did you have a guilt? Obviously, there's no guilty feelings crossing the state lines.
I was a little worried that they might flag me.
Yeah.
But because I don't have the New Hampshire plates,
Right.
I did buy my car from Nashua Toyota. Tell them Meter sent you.
You didn't have the burner plates to put on?
No, at one point I did have New Hampshire plates for like a day, but
Yeah.
no, it was I felt like I had to do it, and why not? I mean, it's unfortunate, the woman that usually cuts my hair, I can only imagine what she's going through.
Right.
I can only imagine what everybody who cuts hair is going through, or works in a salon, or
Yeah. And
these people are
right.
salt of the earth.
Right, and that's the tough part about this, especially service economy people, right? The gig economy, whether it's haircutters, you look at the restaurant. Restaurants have been devastated by this, but there's that fine line, though, right? I mean, there's got to be, and I think this is where the push for adequate testing from both parties has really fallen on deaf ears and needs to ramp up. Like, we got to have testing. The vaccine's going to take whatever the vaccine's going to take, but testing they can get better at quicker, I think. And I think the more you do that, look at other countries that have bounced back quicker. And today Dr. Fauci was saying, look, there's a real concern about this thing boomeranging back if we go too fast. And I think everybody wants to do something, right? That's a good thing. Like, we all want to see some semblance of a return, right? And I think it's good for everybody. But my fear for restaurants is, I mean, and I'm not anti-opening restaurants right now, but you do have to be realistic. I mean, if you want to open up your restaurant, you got to, what's your liability? What are you going to do to shield yourself and protect your customers and your staff?
Right.
I mean, it's not.
You know what they're doing?
It's messy.
At the North End, Mike. Excuse me. At the North End, they're talking about closing Hanover Street off to cars and creating outdoor restaurants,
outdoor cafe, yeah,
outdoor cafes like the European model.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who Oh, it's Table Boston. Tell him Meter sent you.
Yeah.
Hello, Jen Royal. She was telling me yesterday that that's on the docket, and Marty Walsh wants to do it, and that to me makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Put it outside, especially in the summer. That should be a boondoggle.
Well, and I think what we're seeing too is, and I feel like it's gone a little slow. What I'm about to suggest, and maybe some of that's just because of the circumstances. But I feel like, one of the things that's been very positive about our country over the last couple hundred years is American ingenuity. And so trying to figure out, ways to be safe, but also to open up the economy. We're starting to see some of these, I don't want to call them tricks, but, kind of innovations that are trying to accomplish both. Because look, everybody wants that to happen. Everybody wants businesses to open. Everybody wants people to get back to work. I mean, was it 14.5% unemployment, 20 million people out of work? I mean, that's nobody wants that. I mean, the thing is, John, I mean, hopefully this is something that's relatively short term in the sense that we can ramp up the economy again in the next 6 or 8 months. Some economists are saying it's not going to be that easy. I think that's where, your heart goes out to small business owners because they're the ones that are going to bear the brunt of this, I think, for the most part.
Oh, yeah, they definitely will. I think you're going to see a lot of them collapse, which is very sad. And, then we have the sad plight of Major League Baseball players who already are being encouraged by Scott Boras to, not go through with this 82-game schedule, which I think the country would love because they'll be so starved for any live sports that we all are right now. Imagine 82 games. That's great for baseball. You don't have to go through the slog of 162, 14 playoff teams. Makes it interesting down the stretch. End it by late October. And I get it. Health is the number one priority, as it should be. But now Boras is saying, oh, no, they already agreed to a reduction in salaries. They're not agreeing to any more.
Right. And this goes back to Boras and the days of mistrust, continued mistrust with baseball. And understandable or understandably not. It depends on what your feeling on things are. But, I think this is one of those cases, John, where when times get tough, we got to be creative. Going back to the innovation thing, right? What if in World War II, guys like Ted Williams said, no, we're not gonna, leave and go fight the war. We're gonna, make sure we stay here and collect our salaries. Now, granted, the money was totally not the same, and I don't think they would have done it anyway. But the point being is sometimes when things get bad, there has to be some sacrifice.
Suck it up.
Right?
Yeah, suck it up. It's a bad look. The optics are terrible if the Players Association goes through this.
Well,
horrendous optics.
And how do you look somebody that's lost their job because of this, and look them in the face and say, "Wait a minute, you can't go back to work for a couple $100,000 or a couple $1 million?" I mean, how many people?
It's probably going to be $1 million.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's all. I mean, the scale. All right, so baseball works on a scale, right? So, obviously, the Mike Trouts of the world, they're the $28, $30 million guys, right? But the lower echelon guys, like guys like Lucas Giolito or guys that are, 1 or 2 year big leaguers, they're making, $500,000, which is still not bad money, but, those guys are going to take the bigger hit than the stars are. And you can make the argument that these guys, spend what some of these guys, even though they make millions and millions of dollars, they spend it. And that's, but I will say this, it's hard to ask the American public who's making sacrifices to swallow something like this when you have people that are very comfortable making a lot of money and they're not willing to budge. I think that's a bad look for the union. Now, again, you don't want to see the players get screwed, but everybody's taking a hit in this. The owners are losing money. Everybody's. I don't know anybody who's doing well through this.
No, I think a lot of people on unemployment. Well, unemployment is helping some people because I think a lot of people are saying, "Hey, I'm making more on unemployment than I do with my regular salary."
But that's short term, though. That's not sustainable. Like you can't stay on unemployment forever. You know what I mean? So that's
right. No, it's a short term game. Yeah. But you're right. I think it's up to the Players Association to say, "Look, guys, you want to play. You don't want to play. Fine. Consider the enormous PR hit. If everybody's health is okay, and we figured that out.
Right.
That element is figured out.
And this could just be posturing too.
Could be, but I don't know. Knowing the Players Association, it's like here we go. rewind the clock 25 years ago,
Right.
when the 95 strike and
Right.
94 strike hit.
Yeah.
It's like they've never learned.
Yeah.
You can go through the years, even when they
Right.
weren't making that much money.
Right. Well, I think that's where the negotiation, I think, has to be not in dollars and cents, but in percentages. You know what I mean? Because I think it's unfair from the Players Association perspective. I understand where they see it's unfair for them to be asked to take all these big salary cuts, but on the other hand, if the owners are losing, I mean, look at the revenues that the owners are losing, right? So, ticket revenues, and I know Boston is awfully expensive, but you look at luxury suites, look at all that stuff, sponsorship sale. I mean, revenues they're probably holding on right now, holding line because they're in the state of like they don't know what. But when they come to grips with this, our advertisers, if someone's got a $3 million sponsorship for an outfield sign, are they gonna want half that back for an 82-game season? I mean, I don't know.
No one's going to be there to look at it.
Yeah.
You're not going to have any fans in the stands.
Well, but TV, that now you're looking at TV exposing that more on television.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
there's some wins here with 82 games. A lot of people win. It's a PR boost for baseball, which desperately needs it. Baseball's waning, as we know, in interest. This will help significantly if they can pull this off. It's come July 4th.
Right.
When opening day
I think the player, and again, this is not something that agents get paid for representing players, not for representing fans. But what think of it as I would, if I were a player, I would think of it as a marketing play.
Yeah,
ploy,
absolutely. You're the only game in town,
right? For the summer.
Until the NFL comes, which we still don't know if that's possible.
But think of it this way too. It's almost like if you're not allowing fans, and people are still encouraged to be socially distancing. I mean, no offense to Netflix and all the other streaming services and cable and all that, but I mean, I think people are getting tired of watching TV all the time. I think they're ready for something fresh.
I hit the wall last night. I looked at Ben and I was like, you know what? I'm officially bored.
Yeah.
It's bad when you're on your iPad and you're just like scrambling for something to watch.
Well,
like, 30,
I've
30
been
30.
Yeah. Well, I can't say I'm there yet. I guess starting Saturday, I started binge watching season 4 and season 5 of Billions, and so I finally got caught up to season 5, episode 2 last night.
Nicely done.
So, yeah,
you're a professional binger.
I'll tell you what though, really for me it started with just working in baseball, the binge watching, because there were times where we'd always have a game, say, on a Tuesday or Thursday or whatever. So, like, when it was still sort of episodic TV and you had to watch it in order, the DVR became one of the best innovations for people like us who work at night and you can't really watch TV. But now that you can on-demand it, whether it's online or through your provider, game changer.
You know what I'm looking forward to, because I have a sick element to me. Not that this is sick, but
yeah.
Gary Marshall's story tonight on ABC. Happy Days.
Laverne and Shirley, Happy Days. Yeah.
Retrospective.
Right. And he was a big-time director, too.
He was what?
A director, too.
Big-time director, Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman, yeah.
Of course. He was he was brilliant in his own right. And I think ABC, I mean, how often do you watch a show on ABC necessarily? But you're watching one tonight.
Yeah.
With Gary Marshall and your girls going down through the Milwaukee Brewery.
Laverne and Shirley. That was appointment television.
And Wayne and Squiggy.
Yeah, Lenny and Squiggy. It was on.
Lenny and Squiggy.
Yeah.
Wayne.
Yeah, that was that whole block though. You had, you had Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley. Those were the days, man.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. It's but that's stuff like that pops at you in this time period. You're right. It's the DVR was a brilliant invention.
I mean, it started with the video, with the VHS, right? Because you could record stuff, but it was kind of clunky and
pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to
clunky.
Yeah, it was clunky. If you lost your remote, you were screwed.
I remember getting up for Dennis and Callie and trying to watch Red Sox games. in pre-DVR.
Yeah.
And I remember my thing freezing, and I had to pop it in and pop
Yeah.
it out. Oh,
Yeah.
the first world
Oh,
problems.
the horrors.
The horrors. And it's 4:30. I'm sitting there on my couch trying to speed through stuff.
Yeah.
And, the horrors of watching Pedro against Tampa Bay at 4 in the morning.
Dan Bleepin Johnson.
Dan Bleepin Johnson, yes sir.
Well, I will say this: he came to the White Sox and played with the Knights after a couple of big years with the Rays. Good guy. I mean, he was fun to talk to, very engaging. But he enjoyed being a Red Sox killer, and he was a couple of times.
He was. Well, that whole team was.
Yeah.
They had some battles. Brian Daubacher, our good friend, got hit
that's right.
multiple times.
The Belleville Basher.
By the Rays. The Belleville Basher, yes. Tell him Troop sent you. That was.
It's one of Joe's favorites.
One of Joe's favorites. One of the great Charlotte Knights of all time.
Yes, he is. He's on the Knights Round Table of Honor.
Is he?
The Knights Hall of Fame, yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
You could probably find him at your local dog track right now.
I don't know. Are they open?
They should be. Horse racing's going on, right?
Well, they do the Derby, so I don't know.
Some horse races.
Some horse races.
You could go to a dog track anyway.
It depends on where you are.
Non-pandemic period.
Is Wonderland? No, Wonderland's closed, right? That's like
Wonderland's
closed, right?
Next stop Wonderland is closed.
Next stop Wonderland, yeah.
It is no longer.
There goes Swifty.
There goes Swifty. I always wondered what that was. I had no idea what that meant.
It was like a little rabbit. They had
exactly.
on the inside jacket, and that was to get the dogs to chase.
Yes, it was. But the good news is that Mike you're through billions, so that means you can explain to me every financial term that you've heard in the last 4 seasons.
Yeah,
because
sometimes
it's over my head.
Yeah. Well, but you know what it is? It becomes what's interesting, and I saw this, I guess, a little bit early on in my career. Obviously, I mean, the scale and the scope of this is a lot bigger. But sometimes when you get locked in with somebody competing, you try to get leverage and you try to get angles and you try to. I mean, that's what the show's basically about. How Bobby Axelrod tries to manipulate the world to get what he wants, but the problem is every time he gets a big deal, he's never seemingly any closer to finding the happiness that he's looking for. I mean, that's kind of the crux of the show.
It's always chasing that elusive happiness.
Yeah, chasing that, right.
Which we all strive for.
But the thing is, you have two central characters that are essentially in their own different ways, in their own different time, or in their own different methods, doing the same thing. I mean, Paul Giamatti's character is basically the same thing. I mean, Bobby Axelrod's basically just chasing money and happiness. Paul Giamatti's trying to become the true public servant. Now, both of those get sidetracked for both those guys.
Yeah, don't give it away.
Yeah, I'm not getting no spoilers.
But I am I'm not even through the first season yet. But I got to tell you, the part of me just says, Paul Giamatti, why don't you just bring in Bobby Axelrod in? Reel him in, man.
Reel him in.
Stop fishing.
Well, and this is more of a cinematic device and a storytelling device than a spoiler. But sometimes you're not getting you get the full story later. So there's sometimes where things don't make sense, or you're like, why won't they do this? And then you see a scene later, and you're like, okay, that's why they didn't do that. Got it.
Foreshadowing.
I don't know what the right term is. Maybe we'll have to get Michael Malley back on, but I wouldn't necessarily call it foreshadowing, but it's more like burying a detail or hiding a detail and then exposing it later where it fits into connecting the dots.
I'm going to remember that when I get through it in 2024.
Yeah. What do you do? What else you got to do?
What else do you have to watch?
Yeah.
It's a good summary for us, but you have a very important Zoom meeting coming up.
Yeah, big Zoom meeting. We got Dave Friedman and I working on a fundraising event for Winthrop University, Winthrop's the Eagles athletics department. So it's come up at about 17 minutes.
Well, you know what? You guys are nothing but philanthropic on the Bearded Carcast.
We are philanthropic on the Bearded Carcast. We give away pennies and sometimes nickels.
You're like the Bobby Axelrod of podcasters.
Yeah, we got to work on that.
Yeah, I think we
Start
can
leveraging
add
some
this show
people.
to the list.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Exactly. But have a good afternoon, Mikey. And we do remind everybody that we will not be back tomorrow, but
No.
check your local listings for
No.
much more to come.
Right. And may your
And
Thursday be
always,
like your every other day
and all I go
when we
exactly, and
come
all
back.
I have one thing to say: live free or die, baby.
That's right. Okay, now give you a close. May all your tomorrows be like Wednesday. What do you always say at the end of the?
I didn't hit it. I didn't hit the mark.
You didn't hit the
May
mark.
all your todays be as good as your tomorrows.
There you go. So long, everybody.
So long.